It's very easy to label Craig as a genius because he was such a unique, creative individual. But then you have to bring into it Craig's quirkinesses of personality.
Probably the best-known representative of old Fairhope culture, also represented the most unique combination of eccentricity and art.
He had an ancient Ford van held together by the bumper stickers. A 110-pound St. Bernard German Shepherd would be hanging out one window, and Craig would be hanging out the other window with a Santa Claus hat streaming down the street. And this could be the 4th of July. I mean, Craig was different.
By the time he came to Fairhope in the 40s, Craig Sheldon had already lived several lives. He had hitchhiked from Tennessee to Alaska at 17, where he tended a lighthouse, cooked for lumberjacks, delivered mail by dog sled, sold moonshine in brothels, and prospected for gold.
I was having adventures. That's what my grandfather said. He said, son, pile up adventures, he said.
Most things that he did, it was he went in with every ounce that he had.
After the war, the Marine veteran of the Pacific Theater brought his wife to the town he had visited as a child. Single tax land allowed them to set up house with little money, and they were attracted to the freedom of the culture and its energy.
And for years, Craig ran on several gallons of coffee a day, several packs of cigarettes a day, and about 3 or 4 hours of sleep.
While doing full-time construction work in Mobile, Sheldon wrote a newspaper column, founded the early environmental group Save Our Bay, otherwise known as the SOBs, and for a while ran guns and money for anti-Castro forces after the Bay of Pigs, all the while carving wood sculpture that would later be solicited by the Metropolitan Museum of Art.
This is the head-holding highhopper back when the earth was young and these things were among the first creatures. He took prodigious leaps, but unhappily he had a very slender neck, and sometimes he'd do work amiss and he'd snap his head off. Well, they finally learned in desperation to hold their hand on their head before they'd leap. So this is a training period for this young one. They're teaching the young not to leap until you hold your head.
One of my favorites is the ecclesiastical stowaway. And of course it is the pious hypocrite hoping that he can get in, he can sort of sneak past St. Peter. But if you look at the back of the ecclesiastical stowaway, you will see a small set of wings held on by some rather crude hinges. Craig's wonderful parody of the CIA, which is the CIA bug. If you look at it, you see what looks like a bunch of pancakes. But if you look closer, you will see eyes peering out from underneath the pancakes. And then you'll see a tear here and there. Well, this was Craig's way of looking at government bureaucracy. It's one miserable flap of bureaucracy after another. The divine obscenity. Craig's statement of the absolute hypocrisy of holding up moral virtue to give you the ability to destroy other human beings. And so what he was trying to do, I feel, with his whole life was to say, look, step outside and see, and look at the broad overview of the human race and be able to laugh and cry and rant and rail and try to change things. If y'all have a minute, I'd like to take you around and show you something.
If Craig Sheldon was at home with the role of being different, maybe it was because his home was his castle. And it is the castle which probably remains Fairhope's best-known symbol of nonconformity. Built piecemeal, largely from scrap materials and found objects, it is itself a work of art.
It took years and years to do, but it's Craig. So what you now have, and what is one of my passions, is to make sure that this is preserved.
Craig Sheldon died in 1997. Since then, Dean Mosher has done his best to preserve Sheldon's artistic spirit, not to mention his house. Mosher has restored and expanded the castle and remade the house next door in its image. He and his wife, Pagan Sheldon, represent a new artistic generation in Fairhope. Pagan is a ballet dancer and instructor. Mosier is well known in his own right for his paintings documenting historic sea battles, one of which hangs at the Naval Academy. In each of his works, whether Admiral Farragut's Damn the Torpedoes charge into Mobile Bay, or John Paul Jones and his I Have Just Begun to Fight defiance of the British, Mosier's intent is not only artistry, but accuracy, pursued at a Sheldon-like pace. Long before touching brush to paint, he conducts independent research and consults with leading historians, creates his own precise models of the vessels, directs actors to orchestrate the scene in 3 dimensions, and even conducts his own ballistics tests. The aim is to truly resurrect reality. For Mosier, it is a personal quest, and one that he credits to the influence of the town.
It's an organic school philosophy. I could have been very easily content with drawing office furniture and other things and advertising. Or I can say, I'd like to leave something behind. And that, again, stems from this Fairhope experience.
In addition to Mosier, there is still an active local art scene here. Much of the work falls in the arts and crafts or commercial traditions, but there is also at least a remnant of the avant-garde.